Uh, I'm actually talking from Singapore, and I'd just like to talk about basically my career and what a career in broadcast and media actually means. And basically, I am just finishing off a tenure as the director of Asia or APAC for the Broadcast Industry Association, which is the IABM. And I've had an over 30 years, let's say, experience within the industry, and I've made my way across to Asia. So this was me talking, in fact, in Beijing to about 1,000 broadcast and media experts in China, of which, in fact, I think this slide is also talking about the take-up of different types of pay TV and different types of broadcast and media. So if we look at this slide, this was me just over 30 years ago. And this isn't actually me, it was actually me taking a picture, but this was some of my students 30 years ago that I had at Ravensbourne College, which is now Ravensbourne London University. And what I'd like to do is just talk about my experience. So how did I get to the university, and how did I get to Beijing representing the industry and talking to 1,000 people? And like a lot of people in broadcast and media, I got there by mistake. So I got to Ravensbourne. I studied A-levels physics and maths, and I was pretty good at physics and maths, and I got good grades at A-levels. But I also wanted to do and was doing an ONC in photography. And I was a little bit lost of what I was doing. So when I finished my A-levels at 18, I just did temporary jobs. I was kind of drifting for a year, didn't know what I wanted to do. And I ended up being referred to an advert on Capital Radio for Ravensbourne, which is a broadcast and media group. And I was referred to it to say, why not apply? Because they were looking for students. And it was a mixture of the photography, visual, like visual arts, and technology. So at that time, electronics. And when I look at my career, I completed the course, which was a higher national diploma. It's now a university, as a university, it's a degree course. It's a full degree course. And basically, it's an entry into broadcast and media. Now, what does that mean? And why do I feel it's given such a great career? And I did the course, and I could see broadcast and media spans the world, and it's spanning the world even more. Like, this YouTube video will probably go out to every country in the world that anybody can see. And what I could see is, after the end of the course, my main interest was to go abroad. So I worked in a studio in Austria, where we were making production, and I was looking after the maintenance of the studio, as well as helping out with editing as a junior editor. I then moved to the manufacturer side. So there's really two sides to broadcast and media. And there's the production, the creative, the art directors, the camera people, lighting, and so forth, in terms of the creation side. And then there is the technical side. So most of my career was either spanning both sides of it or really representing the technology. And if I show you another slide, hold on. So if I share with you this slide, this is me representing the production switcher group, of which we made and developed production switches which were being used across the globe. So this is actually in Qatar TV. And then when we look at this one, this is actually in Dubai TV, which I was based for some time. So when I look at my career and I look at what I've managed to do, I moved from Austria to Switzerland, and then was field service for Sony Broadcast in Dubai in Middle East, and then ended up being head of technical service for Philips Broadcast in Hong Kong. So what has given me, as in my interest, the opportunity to see the world. I've been to about 70 countries individually around the world. And because of my personal skills, where I like the operation and the technical side, I could repair electronics. So I was doing field service, but also I could show the operators how to start production and how to operate a panel which is 1,000 buttons, of which I'm very pleased to say one of the main projects which is now 20 years ago, which was the Sydney Olympics in 20 years. And if we look at this slide, this is a certificate from the Sydney 2000 games, of which we installed 50 production switches. We had to train the operators. We had to install the equipment, train the operators, and made sure that it went live correctly during the opening ceremony, and every single sporting event was covered. And what I was part of was a specific group which involved the operators as well as the technical people, because we wouldn't have been able to get the operational effects that we want. And at that time, what is very used now, we developed the whoosh. So whenever you had a replay of the goal, we developed with inside the machine, which was a big technology jump, only available in digital time, where whenever you had a goal, you could press a button and then you could have a display of replay of the actual games, or replay of the slow motion of the goal or whatever it was during the sporting event. So what I've managed to do, how I see it, is I played my part in terms of the operational inputs and the needs of the operators to the technical side. So broadcast and media, it covers full gamut of, let's say, from creative to very technical. So you look about how broadcast and media has moved now. And what I would say is, to be in broadcast and media, you've got to be totally innovative. You've got to recreate, you've got to relearn, and you've got to do a lot of self-learning, because probably just 1% of what I learned doing electronics in that course of Ravensbourne 30 years ago is probably valid today in the industry. Because the industry, rather than being transmitting a TV station, anybody can get into the broadcast and media industry using a mobile phone, shooting on a mobile phone, editing it at almost very little cost, and then putting it online, and like this video being on YouTube. So you can be a media person. And one of the things I would say, particularly on the operational side, unlike let's say some professions, the degree is very critical to have. When you look at broadcast and media, often that you're, especially as an editor or a cameraman or whatever, that your experience and what your track record is the most critical thing to defend. And what it means is that you have to build up your own, let's say, background in media, in editing. Of course, on the technical side, and I've worked with great software developers who have developed that product. I developed the Vision Mixer, for example. Everything now has gone to software, where it was hardware before. But these people, let's say, are very creative, even as a software developer. And as a software developer, what it also means is that you have to, it's very different, say, developing software for other disciplines perhaps, because you have to think of the operational requirement before you're producing a product, before you're developing a product. So in my career, I was in service. I was in charge of in Hong Kong, looking after Asia for customer service for Far Asia. Then I reported to the business unit production switches, which are the pictures you saw there. And with the production switches, then my role changed to product marketing or business development. And then this is where I had feedback in developing products. And then from there, I moved into sales and then representing, because I'm 30 years in the industry, representing the industry as the IBM. As I say, my time is finishing actually this month of the IBM. So I will be doing more business development kind of work. But what it has allowed me to do is, one, have a very international career, if that's what you want. I would say if you're a creative person, if you're somebody who wants to learn new things, move on, learn something else, this is the industry to be in, because it's certainly not an industry to get a qualification, a degree, and that's it. Because technology, the development of technology is moving faster and faster. So what I learned today and how we're working today and how we're streaming, for example, which is the new side of the broadcast and media. When I'm talking about broadcast, I'm talking about transmitters, but also transmitting over the internet or any device through mobile phone or whatever device. And this is going to change in the near future. It's going to change with 5G perhaps. And then there's going to be new developments in terms of production. What you see there with the vision mixers, where we had a lot of people at the Sydney Olympics. What is changing is now remote production, where you'll have a control room, and because of connectivity, it may be hundreds of miles away from the football stadium. So what it's also allowed me to do is set up the effects in South Africa for the first 2020 cricket. I've been to Lillehammer Olympics, Sydney Olympics. I've even cut for a French channel, the English Premier League, so the football. So if you're somebody who wants to travel, it could be a real opportunity to travel, because media is global. And whether you're in the operation side, of course, cameramen have to travel. Hopefully post-COVID, traveling will be a lot easier. But it certainly has allowed me to see a different aspect of life. Of course, qualifications are important and learning. But once you do qualify, it's also experience is very critical to your career, because often you are hired. Obviously, it depends on whether it's the operational or the manufacturing side of the equipment, but you're often hired from your experience of what you've done before, particularly if you're in the production and operation. That if you've worked in a successful production or you've done successful editing, for example, you're going to be hired again for future work. It does mean, as I say, relearning, being creative about your career, studying continuously, and we already have seen from standard definition to high definition. Things are going to move to ultra high definition and 4K and 8K, and it's just going to change. So within your career, within the time of your finishing, and if you look 30 years from now, it's going to be a completely different industry. So learning as you go, learning new skills and techniques is part of it. So it certainly isn't, let's say, a career where you ever stop learning, and you have to be inquisitive. And even if you're the artist side, you have to understand it's a technical product, it's electronics effectively, if it's a camera. So you have to understand how that works. Or if you're doing the editing, you're still working with the technical medium. So like any artist, you have to understand the medium itself, and obviously it's electronics, it's a form of electronics, and you have to understand how that works. If you're on the production side or the production of equipment and you're developing equipment, then you have to understand the operational requirements, the artist requirements, if you like. So this is the let's say the industry where also it's not so necessarily so formal. So especially on a production crew, you don't need to wear suits and so forth. Of course, you saw me at the beginning wearing looking quite formal in presentations. But you know, it all depends on what side of the industry that you go into. And you know, as I say, certainly very important to be able to restudy, relearn new skills, new techniques, new technology, because it's an ever evolving you know, trade, if you like. And you know, a lot of people don't even recognize that something like watching on a mobile phone, there's a lot of technology that's developed so that you can securely watch that technology or watch that program behind the scenes. And there's, when you look at broadcast and media, it is separated into three kind of areas. Firstly, the production and the shooting. Then when you have the raw material, let's say what the TV station would do, which would be the forming it into a program, so creating and generating the actual program. And then finally, once it's in a program form, then it's redistributing or getting it to the, let's say, end viewer. So that could be with a transmitter of the TV station, on the mobile phone, 3G, 4G, or cable, or on the internet. So those are the three sectors which have different nuances depending on where you are. Obviously, in the front end of where the camera is where the most creative people are, and it's more the distribution is turning as we turn digital, and we're using the internet, and we're storing not on videotape machines to servers, that is turning more like the IT industry or the telecom industry rather than the media industry. So you should also consider, if you're going into broadcast and media, what sector you would like to you know, think about being in. If you're more of a creative person, or you're more of a IT savvy type person. And certainly the industry is moving very much to an IT type centric in terms of the technology that it's using. So I don't know if we have any questions, Charlie.
Yeah, we've had quite a few questions, so I'll just start with the top and work our way through them. So how do you think technology is going to change over the next few years? That's
wow,
question.
Yeah, that's how long do we have? No, I mean, what is happening, and this is what I was presenting the results of our association, who go out and survey end users and what is happening. And the broadcast and media industry has moved from hard electronics to digitalization, which has meant that, as I said, the industry is moving to more IT centric. So where before you'd have, if you were changing the color of a video, you may use physical hardware to do that. Now it's all in software. So the industry is moving all to software, which means already editing in the cloud is there, video distribution is there. So it's very much going to be, as connectivity gets better, particularly with 5G, cloud-based software. And we see emergence of, in terms of technology, the IT, the telco industry merging as the communications and the distribution is kind of through telco, and then the storage is on servers, so yeah, IT servers effectively. So it's merging with broadcast and media, is merging with in terms of technology to the you know, the kind of IT and telco. But also on the creative side, it's getting easier for anybody to make a video and post a video. And that opportunity wasn't available to me 30 years ago, where it cost too much to have a camera. We could never afford a video camera.
So if someone wanted to pursue a career in broadcast and media, what would be your 3 top tips? So what could people do to stand out?
Right, okay. As I say, it depends on what I think you have to do is, because it's such a wide, broadcast and media has pure creatives to pure technical people. So you have to firstly understand or have a feeling of what role you want to play within broadcast and media. If it's particularly, let's say, on the creative side, you can get going already today and make a video and post a video, and you get 1,000 viewers or 10,000, 100,000, 1 million on YouTube, and then you can stand out that way, right? If it's on the technology side, it's a matter of you can develop stuff already. You can go in, you can do, like computer hackers, if you like, you can already get going and show examples of your work already.
Brilliant. How you were talking about innovation earlier. How important do you think sort of innovation is in your industry?
I mean, it is, and I represent the technology supply side of the industry, and the innovation is, although we need the artists, nobody watches video without fantastic content. So it does rely for people to watch amazing imagery and minds from creative people. However, without the technology side, the innovation side, that is not going to happen. And this is, as I say, I studied photography and I studied physics and maths, which was a real problem for my, if you like, my teachers to pin me into what I was going to do as a career. But what I do understand is that without the technology change, and literally what is great about it is, and I saw this in photography and now in broadcast and media, you can basically on a credit card get cameras, get the production equipment together to make a professional video. And the technology is allowing the tools and the cost of tools to come down, that anybody can make professional video. There's a lot of bad videos out there, particularly on YouTube, by the way, but you can stand out by making a good professional video.
I know you've spoken a lot about it, but what is it that you particularly love about broadcast and media?
Well, what I love about it, and, as I said, I'm a technologist, I'm an engineer, I say physics and maths, but what is great about broadcast and media is that if I studied, let's say, pure electronics, I would probably, or computer science or whatever, I'd probably be stuck in a bank or wherever they need IT support. The great thing about broadcast and media is that it is used for everything. So it could be houses of worship and churches, it could be education, it could be entertainment, sports, anything, government, Parliament TV, whatever it might be. And every country has it. So what my love is, I have had a golden career, if you like, of traveling, and that's what I like to do. We'll see where things go with COVID later on, but the fact that it's just used, for so many different applications, gives a wide opportunities of what you do in your career, and that's what's great about broadcast and media.
Brilliant. And then just to bring us to a close, I'll combine a few questions. So what is it that you recommend people studying? I know you said you studied maths and photography. What subjects, if people want to pursue a similar career, would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, there's and this course which I did at Ravensbourne, now Ravensbourne London University, is still going. So I'd certainly recommend, there are many media university courses out there. And certainly, look at Ravensbourne. But most importantly, what you should, okay, obviously look at the study, but there's also a practical side of, broadcast and media. So if you can start making videos or work with a production company just to get experience, this is a really big important factor where people want to see a qualification, but they also want to see you've had some kind of experience. So it's not just a certification.
Brilliant. And I think that's going to draw us to a close today. Thank you for everyone who watched us live. And if you can watch later on YouTube and follow our social media to find out about all of our latest talks. If you've got a question and you're not watching us live, you can submit them on our website.
Right.
Thank you very much.
And you can look for me on LinkedIn as well. So Peter Bruce in Singapore. So and I'll be happy to connect and then chat if you have also questions. But thank you very much, Charlie, for your efforts and allowing me to have this opportunity to support the broadcast and media industry.
Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and then we'll have another talk next week.